Alright, so let's take a look at how we can mirror stuff from one side to the other side. Now we have this ribbon surface here. In order to mirror it, we can use the same technique. Just Control D and Shift P to get a copy of this NURBS. And then we unlock selected and we tap in -1 on the X to flip it. Okay? And then don't forget to do a freeze transformation. Alright, and we can go to the ribbon settings and change that to R and just create ribbon. Oops, this is my command arrow. Hopefully it's nothing. Let's try that again. Oh, you know what? It is an arrow because it should be the left side. And the right side is already there. And because we named this guy left already, so it's gonna have trouble figuring out what that is. Okay. To many object and values. See what that is. Excuse me. So this is left. That's wrong. So that should be the right. You know what? That's not gonna work very nicely because backcode is based on naming. So that means those guys are named. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's try that. Maybe it would work. So this is gonna be the left. Yeah, you can see it's giving you an error because there's some left join already created. When I was naming those guys, I named that wrong. So let's try this. I'm gonna name this guy to Leftland, maybe just to have a little different. Left. That way it's gonna work. Okay, because it doesn't have name clashing. Alright. I could also try to name them, do some arrow checking to correct the naming, right, in my code, but I just didn't do those arrow check. Okay. Anyway, so now let me go show the joints, and then I'm gonna grab one of the joint. Okay, it's in here, and these guys, they're called left lens L. Grab the geometry. We do rigging, scan, added influence, and add influence. Alright. Now when that is done, we can try to mirror our scan and weighting over. Okay, cool. So now we can try to drag the controller and see if they have the proper weighting. Right, seems like they are. Okay, now there are a few things we need to set up properly. Now one thing that is, we need to get the correct blend shape on those ribbons, right? And also let me make them follow scan real quick. And also we kind of also want to get the same set driven key we set up already, right? So like what we mentioned very earlier in the rigging class, animation are a node, right? Keyframes are nodes. So we could potentially copy that keyframe over and use that to drive these guys, blend shape. But we're a little bit more ahead of ourselves. We need to copy the blend shapes over, right? So let me do that here real quick. I'll grab that, all the blend shapes we have over here, right? Up and down, in and out. Okay. And then what we can do is right click, and then we can actually grab these guys, and we can do a rebuild target, right? And then we Control D to duplicate those target and delete the original ones. Right. For the duplicate ones, we just mirror them over. Also do a freeze transformation. Now we can delete the one on the very end of their name, and then those new things will be the blend shape for our left line on the other side. So deform blend shape. All right, and then we can go ahead and name this guy. Left. Okay, save R and left. So now I can go ahead and delete these, And just to test if we get the blend shape there, we can drag the sliders and see, are they doing the right thing? Seems like they are. Okay, so let's try to copy our set-driven key from one side to the other. What we want to do is go to node editor, and we can look for that blend shape, this one. We take a look at the input of that blend shape. You can see the 4 keyframes over here, and they're connected to the 4 blend shape, right? Up, down, out, and in. So what I do here is Control D to duplicate that. Okay, and let's go to a new graph and add these guys in. Those are the set-driven keys we did already. So again, don't need to redo them. If we can just copy and grab this guy, actually the blend shape here, right? Select the blend shape node and add it in. So as you can see earlier, those guys were just going to be connected to the weights, right? So let me open the down one and drag out the output and put it to the down, right? And the out, drag the output to the out. Okay, and the nose one we're gonna do, this is the up, right? And this is the in. Okay, so rearrange them a little bit. Right. Okay, now the input, if you go back to the previous graph, you can see so the translations goes to the input of these guys. So translation Y goes to the up and down, translate X goes to the in and out. So we just need to do the same connection using this guy here on the other side. So I'm gonna grab that guy and add it in. Okay. Okay. And what we do is just use translation Y to control again up and down. So it's gonna be here, we can do other and input. Okay. Other and input. So Y and X will be in and out. So I'm gonna do that here. Other and input. Other and input. That way we're basically copying over the set-driven key with the keyframes. Let's take a look at what we have here now. We can do up and down. You know what? That's flipped. In and out is also flipped. That's not very nice. Alright, well, we can try to see why it's doing that. I guess that's because this one is mirrored, so that it may have different up and downs. So object mode, you can see that's that, and this one is flipped. Okay, so both of those values are flipped. Okay. Oh wow. So that's something we have to deal with. Okay. So what we need to do is just multiply our value by -1. So we're going to create a multiply divide. And we'll connect our translate to the input 1. And for the input 2, we change that to -1, -1, and -1 here. Open the output. Okay. Holding down the control and actually shift to drag these guys over, or control. This must be some button. Yeah, I drag that again, or just directly drag it. Okay, I drag that. So that was on the X. So I'm gonna drag it over to the X, and the Y to the Y. So we're having the reversed value here, and that would help. Okay, so now we're getting the correct movement. And then we can also limit the information, right? So here, let's see, you're limiting 79 here. But again, this time we're gonna limit the positive to be that much. Okay, right? And then this one we're limiting 0.23, and for the other guy, it actually has to be negative that much. Okay, I'll grab this guy, I'm gonna copy the 0.33. This guy is gonna be there. And then this guy's 1 is going to be -1 here. Okay. Right. So that's the correct copy over here. Right. But then we're missing one more thing though. In this setup, on this side we have the cheek following with it. on the other side we don't have the cheek, right? So we have to also add that. The problem is, if we go ahead and look for the ribbon on the other side, it's already having a blend shape, right? So this one, we need to add new ones. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to right click and we need to rebuild target, right? See, they're over here. And Control D to duplicate and delete the old ones, right? Just the same as before. Okay, and I have to mirror them over to the other side, so that's going to be -1 over here. Okay, the problem is if we grab these guys and then this shape, right? Oops. Close the shape editor and reopen. I don't need that anymore. And put it in here. Okay. So let's see if we were to try to add those new things, right, as new target. The problem is here, if you try to do that, right click and add target, it doesn't really allow you to do that. I think that's the limitation of Nervous geometry. That's something we have to, you know, mess with. I'm thinking we could try to do the deform and then blend shapes. I'm gonna do this add if that works. Okay, I can specify node. The blend shape, the shape is gonna be the left line, actually upper left cheek ribbon blend shapes. Upper left cheek ribbon blend shapes. Okay, just add those target to the node. Okay, and then we apply. And see, now we're adding those things in. Okay, so we just have to find some workaround to make them work. Okay. Oh, one more thing I forget to do. I think I didn't freeze their transformation. You can see what's gonna happen if you don't freeze transformation. They were still considered over there. The shape change doesn't bake over, the translation doesn't bake to the shape level, so it doesn't really give you the right result. Let me go ahead and delete those things, and no problem, just modify and freeze transformation, right? Okay, and then we can again do that little trick one more time to the left cheek, right, this guy, and we do again deform, blend shape. We have to add it, and then we make sure that you check the correct node, which is upper left cheek, right, and then apply and add, and now we have all these things added in, right? You can see what they're doing, and we can safely delete those guys now, and then we can take a look at what they're doing, up and down, out and in. Okay, now it's just a matter of setting up the same way we're setting here to connect, duplicate the animation, right? We do our connections to eventually make the cheek follow. Okay, I'll leave that for you to figure out or to repeat. Actually, basically it's going to be the same as these guys, so I don't need to see me doing that. And then next class we'll try to move on to the rest of the face. Okay, see you next time.